What's going on, everybody? Wait, let me just check my settings really quick. Really quick. Yep, did not have that set properly. Oh shit. For some reason my mic is not picking up. Hmm. All right. Hmm. Well, that fucking sucks. Mic is not working well. It's not picking up. I'm using a laptop mic, so I'm sure that it fucking sounds like ass. Let me know how this sounds on my microphone. For some reason, it's not picking up. Yeah, it's using the built-in microphone. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll just operate like this. I can put that thing aside. All right. So, yeah, good to see everybody here. Thank you for hanging out with me on this Friday evening. Gonna get some beats up in here. Yeah, yeah. What's up, fellas? Boxing Dave, I see you. Vic Daddy, King Solar Power. Good to see you guys in here. Yeah, so there's got an interesting show about some secrets to attraction, right? That's what draws people in all the time. You know, got to get those secrets to attraction. Follow these 3 simple steps, and you'll have women eating out of the palm of your hand. But I mean, this one's no secret, but it actually is quite effective. But the trick is that you can't actually use it on purpose, because that kind of fucks up the whole thing. A lot of things in, you know, being a man and the game and just whatever you want to fucking call it. Whenever you purposely try to do something, it really fucks with the act of it happening, right? Because we all want to be genuine, right? We want to be genuine in how we are. We don't want to manufacture anything, okay? So it's sort of this weird thing, because if you don't know, you want to learn and implement, but then in implementing it, it's disingenuous. So it's this weird catch-22, right? So that's kind of the irony, yet another irony of the game, is that when you're trying, you're not doing it. And if you don't try, it will never happen. It's kind of fucked up like that. It just is. So really the little trick, right? The secret hack, right? You guys love that shit. Secret hacks to getting women into bed. Secret hacks to seducing them so they will love you forever. This is what they do. And you guys, like, it's hard to resist that. I tell you, like, as someone who is like learning my marketing and promoting my business, it's really hard to resist the urge to feed into that part of guys' brains that just want, I mean, because guys, they like to figure shit out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you've got a flat tire, you want to figure out how to fix the flat, right? So you do a little research, how to use a plug, how to refill the tire, how to change the tire, whatever. You know, like, you don't know how to fucking fix some fucked plumbing in your sink. You go on YouTube, do some research, figure it out, fix the thing, and then it's done. Like, that's how we think. So we're like very like process oriented and very geared towards just solving problems, you know. But when it comes to ourselves, it doesn't fucking work. But that pull still works. Okay, so like, that's why y'all fall for this bullshit where it's like, learn this secret hack and you can get her to be seduced by you for the rest of time, right? And you know, I'll turn you into the grand wizard of women. And so you know, but you guys fall for it. It's just weird. So like I feel the pull to using that kind of marketing, but it's not right. It's not genuine, and it's very manipulative. But it just sucks because you guys fall for that shit day in and day out. But working on it. But really, okay. So let me just get a sip of water here. It's actually some old tea, but whatever. The secret really is disappointment. That's what it is. And it's counterintuitive on many different levels, because if you're a young guy and you don't have a lot of experience with women, you're both driven internally to want to please a woman. Okay, it's not like you're driven internally to make them unhappy, right? You're driven internally to please women. Like, it feels good generally to put smiles on people's faces versus making them cry, right? And when a guy likes a girl, it's like we're pulled into wanting to just do good stuff for her, okay? But without knowing any better, guys get, they fall prey to this sort of things. And then you got the social constructions on top of that, and then the social conditioning. So the conditioning takes advantage of that natural pull, right? Because when you're in a solid relationship, you care about a woman, it's very natural to want to give a shit about her, right? To be on top of her well-being, to care about how her mind is working, to care about her emotions, to care about her body. Like she's part of your property that you give a shit about, right? So it's natural for guys to want to do this. So it's in you innately. But when you're a young dude and you don't have the experience of how to regulate that and have systems in place to kind of keep these things organized, you just run off of these impulses. And that's how guys, just get run through the mill of getting their hearts broken and getting manipulated, and sometimes without even women trying to manipulate them, it just happens that way, But for sure, there are some women out there who are privy to this and they take advantage of it. Many do not. They're just like, shit, I don't know why he's giving me all this shit and pouring tons of love at me. We just met 2 weeks ago, But that did this, what high school guys do, young college guys who don't know any better. But the secret in the sauce is disappointment, and this really only matters if she really likes you. So if a woman just really into you, she loves you, she likes you, she respects you, this kind of love that she has is one where she's going to want to eat you up. She's going to want to eat up everything of you. She's going to want to be filled by you, okay? And this is on many different levels. This is on a psychological level. This is on you will consume her mind. She'll be thinking about you the first thing when she wakes up. She'll be thinking about you during the day. She'll be thinking about you the last thing before she goes to sleep. So you're consuming in her mind. She'll want to be consuming in her heart, okay? She'll be feeling for you, okay? And I'll get into the paradox of this, further on in the show, where it's a mixture of the good and the bad. It's that sweet sour that they love, and it's a love-hate with the sweet sour. It's kind of a weird paradox, but it's true and it's very real. So it's like when they really want to consume you, they want to have you consuming their mind, consuming the heart, in their body, okay? They want to be filled, literally filled by you, okay? To feel your presence in every aspect of their existence, right? When they really are into you, when they really love you, they really like you, okay? But here's the thing about desires. So she's going to want to desire your time. She's going to want to desire your attention. She's going to desire your affection. She's going to desire your dick. She's going to want everything from you, okay? But here's the thing about wants, just generally speaking amongst humans. Everyone is free to want whatever they want, okay? But just because somebody wants something doesn't mean that they're going to get it, All right. And if you have children, if any of you have children, you know exactly what this is like. All right. You know, like my son, he wants all kinds of shit. Doesn't mean he's gonna get it. Okay. Maybe if he works for it and he earns it and, you know, that sort of thing, he can create the fulfillment of that want. But just simply wanting is free. Okay. Giving is not free. All right. This is why, you know, I wish men to kind of wisen up, and you know, many do. Sometimes, unfortunately, with like a chip on their shoulder, they become bitter about this. But you know, you should understand that giving is not free. Okay, that there's a cost to giving. There's no cost to wanting. So you know, many times if a woman's really into you, she's gonna want everything of you. She's gonna want you with her all the time. Okay, and you have to be, you know, a smart way to go about this is to be prudent with and conservative with how you give. Okay, because if you give everything that she wants, unfortunately, her attraction is going to nosedive. And it's weird. It's counterintuitive. Like you think that like, oh, she wants to spend time with me. Okay, I'm going to go spend time with her. Boom. If it's too much, it's like that plane's going to crash right into the mountainside. Okay, and so this is the part about being genuine. Guys will hear that and think, okay, well, I'm just gonna pretend to be busy. I'm gonna ignore her phone calls on purpose. I'm going to ignore her messages on purpose. I'm gonna tell her that I can't hang out even though I'm just sitting at home playing Call of Duty. Now, of course, like if you want to play video games and that's a passion of yours, whatever. But the point is that you're trying to seem more unavailable than you actually are. All right, which means that you just need to be busier with your life. Okay, you're not focused enough on yourself, on bringing about growth within your mind, within your self-awareness, within your network connections, your business, your health, whatever it is that you want to grow. You're not spending enough time doing that. Okay, because if you were, then you'd have to be really conscious about how you divvy up your time, and she's going to be in that. So she gets a slice of that. She can't have all of it because there's just not enough slices to go around. All right. And so, you know, but if you give too much of that pie, there's something of like gluttony in there. All right. And yes, when a woman loves, there's an element of gluttony. Like she just wants to fucking stuff her face. All right. And that's great, all right? And you know, if you've never experienced that before, it's a wonderful feeling when a woman just wants to consume your being, okay? It's great, but you can't let that put you into this like drunken stupor, okay? And yes, it will happen. Like the first time you experience a woman who's that into you, who wants to really consume you, you will get drunk off of the desire to be desired. All right, and that's fine. It's natural. You're not conditioned to it. You're not used to it. It's a new experience, and it's fine. You should experience that. Like I think every guy should really experience what that's like, so they can understand how to regulate it. Okay, not for the desire aspect, but so that they can understand what happens when you do and when you don't regulate that stuff. Okay, so you know, like I said, don't manufacture this. Okay, so don't purposely try to disappoint her. Okay, just be a full you, and unfortunately, she's going to get disappointed. All right. Now, the thing is though, is that you don't want this to blow up your ego. All right. So when she has this high level consumptive desire for you, you cannot let this blow up your ego and puff up your chest and be like, oh yeah, I'm the fucking shit, I'm the man, look at me, this woman's like all about me. Okay, yeah, part of you is going to want to enjoy that. Okay, you have to not let that take over your psyche. All right, yes, it feels good. Okay, great, acknowledge it, move on. Like it's not that big of a deal. All right, so don't let this sort of, if this is happening with you, don't let this blow your head up. Okay, because that too will ruin things, because then you'll start to become too arrogant and you're not going to be seeing things because you're going to be too much in your ego. All right, and that's going to be preventative when it comes to leading. all right? Because all you're gonna see is your chest, right? You're not gonna be able to see beyond your puffed up chest, okay? So, so, and then also, if she's saying like, I want this, and then you go into and fulfill those things, okay? You're fulfilling orders, okay? Much like if like you're like a short order cook and the waitress comes over and puts the tickets up, you're following the waitress's commands, right? And the waitress is following the customer's commands. So like, I want this, and the cook's like, okay, I'm gonna make this. And so the one who is following and fulfilling the demands is following the person who's creating the demands. So, like I said, she's fine to want what she wants. Women can want the fucking moon and the stars and the entire universe. I don't care, right? It's great that you want things, all right? It's better than not wanting anything. The thing is, though, is that if you are putting yourself in a position of fulfilling those things, you are now inadvertently putting her in a place of leadership. And perhaps at first, okay, much like if someone's hungry and you give them candy, at first they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's great, because it quickly makes their blood sugar change, and they have this rush of sugar from the candy. They feel good. Their dopamine gets raised, but it's unfulfilling, and it quickly drops down, and they have a crash. Okay, and so it's the same thing with that. At first, it might feel good. She might feel great that you are this guy who's just like always fulfilling her wants. Okay, but if this goes on for a certain period of time, it's going to lead to disappointment. It's going to lose its luster, and she's either going to want more because they're just these limitless consumers. Okay, and that's no shade on women. It's just part of nature, right? Okay, they are the void, okay, the thing that receives. Men are the object that penetrates and goes in. Okay, so we are form, they are void. Okay, one fills the other, but void is limitless. Okay, so it's up to you to put barriers on this and to understand like how to regulate that. And so if you don't have any regulative power in here and you are just giving her what she wants, she's going to just keep consuming, and it's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna lose its luster. Like if I give you birthday cake every single week, after a while you're just gonna get bored of birthday cake. It's not gonna be enjoyable anymore. All right, so definitely just keep an eye on that. And so I mentioned like a paradox. Okay, so here's the paradox, and this is gonna be really weird. And maybe if a woman thinks about it, they'll be like, yeah, that's kind of true. Okay, but like on the front end, they're gonna deny it. Okay, women kind of get a rise out of being denied what they want. It's true. It's like if they like you, okay? If they don't like you and you say no, they're just gonna, well, fuck you then, okay? But these are all within the context of a woman who's like really into you, okay? So the paradox is that they will get a rise out of being denied what they want, okay? And what this does is it signals to her that you can handle distress. So it depends also like how you handle it. So if you say you're denying her something, you tell her no, about whatever sort of desire she wants. She wants to take a trip to some road trip, go on a little mini vacation or something like that. No, it's not gonna happen. She's gonna pout, she's gonna sulk, right? And it all comes down to how you respond to that. Okay, so if you start like running after me, like, no, okay, I'm sorry, like, all right, feel better, it's okay, like we'll fix this, like I'll plan something for next week, it's all good, baby, stop crying. Okay, that's gonna signal to her that you don't do well under pressure. Okay, and if you can't handle little old her, okay, because women aren't sitting there seeing themselves as like, I'm this like Queen, Valkyrie sitting high up on a mountain with her fucking golden spear. Okay, it's not like that, right? They're just like, wait, you can't handle little old me. What's going to happen if there's distress in life? Okay, when there's like a real threat, okay? She's just pouting, right? That's not a real threat, all right? But you fold. So if you fold from this minor threat of her just pouting, what you're gonna do when something really serious happens, okay? So really, it's either like a conscious or a subconscious gauging of how you're going to handle things. And I think it's both happening at the same time. I think she's watching, but also not watching, right? Because she's observing, but she's also in it. She's also in the emotion, feeling it of the denial. And there's just this, it's like a, I don't know, like a hurt so good sort of thing. I can't explain it a lot, but I know that it's real. And women may deny that this is true, but it's absolutely true. It's a bittersweet love-hate with being told no, if she likes you. That's the big caveat, all right? And like I said, it's a signal to her that if you can deny her, it shows that you have strength, okay? That you can say no despite you being attracted to her, loving her, wanting to protect her. You're still willing to say no, all right? And denying the things that she wants so much, okay? Whether it's something external or if it's you, more of your time, more of your dick, more of your attention, more of your resources, more of your energy, whatever it is, you saying, no, you can't have this, is just a symbol of you being stuck in the ground, okay? Now that has to be gauged as well, okay? Because if you're immovable, all right, and you're just this fucking steel pillar embedded 12 feet into the ground, then it's like you're too rigid, okay? And then that's not enjoyable, okay? You're too firm and you're too rigid, okay? So like I have a client who's kind of like this, and like he's extremely organized, really, really organized. Like his program is like military tight, okay? He has a problem with expression though. So he has everything. He's like counting her breaths throughout the day. Not really, but I'm exaggerating, but he's like that, okay? But because he's so stiff and rigid, there's very little room for creativity. It's very hard for him to express himself, which in turn, because the woman's following her man, she becomes less expressive because he's too rigid, too firm, and like it's like every move she makes, he's like correcting her, making sure like everything's straight and narrow, okay? And that's one of the quickest ways to kind of snuff out her flame, right? And we don't want to do that. So to prevent that from happening is you can't snuff out your own flame by being too controlling and too rigid of your own being, okay? You have to give yourself some wiggle room to express yourself, okay? So as far as how she reacts, she might sulk when you deny her. She might pout when you deny her. And this, in my book, is relatively acceptable, all right? Because you can't expect someone to not react at all, all right? Like, that's unfair. We're dealing with human beings here, okay? It's only if it gets into a realm of disrespect, where she's getting bitchy, she's insulting you, she's getting angry because you've told her no about something, okay? At this point is when she gets dismissed. And what I mean is that she gets cut out of your life, okay? Because there is really no reason whatsoever to have anyone in your life that is behaving that way, okay? I don't care how cute she is. I don't care how well she gargles your dick all the way down to the hilt. It doesn't matter, okay? Her cooking could be fucking 4-star Michelin. I don't give a shit, all right? So it really depends on like how she's reacting, okay? So if you're, like I said, like this is something that's very important, like the ability to say no, okay, and deny her things that she wants. And this ties into something, sexy down the line, but this should be practiced early on. It's really important to practice this early on because you can gauge how she handles disappointment, okay? Is she emotionally balanced enough to take it on the chin, right? Take it on the chin like a big girl, okay? Even if she's a little girl, right? Can she handle being denied? That's really important. Like, and how she handles it, okay? So if she flies off the handle and you figure this out early on, you've just saved yourself a shitload of time, okay? Because you realize, okay, she can't handle it. But I wouldn't judge it based on one instance, okay? So it's like, give like, two chances, 3 chances, because you never know, like maybe that day it just so happened she was having a shitty fucking day. Like one of the worst days or one of the worst weeks, okay? And she just wanted something nice and you were like, no. And it was just bad timing and like she just lost it, she cracked, okay? There's certain things that are affecting situations that are out of your control. So don't judge it based off of a single instance, all right? That wouldn't be prudent. So you'd have to be a little bit more scientific and be like, okay, well, is this repeating? Is this repeatable? All right. So, further on, give it a little bit of time, produce something else, produce another opportunity to deny. All right. Wait until she wants to do something and you deny it. Or it's because of certain behavior. You say, hey, listen, because you've been acting like this, we were going to go to the movies, but now we're not. All right. Then you see how she reacts. Okay. And if she blows up again, it's like, okay, now I understand there's a pattern. Okay, if she just kind of reverts a little bit, she pulls back, she starts pouting, she's quiet, then that kind of gives you an indication of like how maybe she normally deals with certain things. And you do practice this early on, really early on, so you can gauge moving forward how she's going to react, because this isn't going to be the first and only time that you're going to be denying her things that she wants, And it's like, just because she's, your woman now, it doesn't mean that she's gonna, instantly stop wanting shit. She's gonna want more. Like I said, the more she loves you, the more she's gonna want to consume you, which means the more you're gonna have to regulate this stuff. Which might be why, what did I hear? Recently, there's like this new dating trend called NATO dating. Has anyone ever heard that? Chat. Anyone ever heard NATO dating? NATO, like the military organization, okay, or the political organization. It stands for not. What is this? Something about outcome independence, like not being attached to the outcome. And it's kind of funny. It's like you fuckers, you love just relabeling shit all the time. You love relabeling things. Yeah, it's fairly new, K-Son. Good to see you here, man. Same to you, Karoy 2SSS. Kevinism 7. What's up, man? Vasily's Combat Sports and World Events. Transcendent Music. What's up, man? So, NATO. It's something about fucking, what is it? Like being non-attached, being not like being outcome independent or whatever. And this is, there's just always something new. Always. And it's like, dude, this has been a practice since forever. Okay? It's since forever. Amongst men, we know to regulate your attachment. Regulate your attachment, because this allows you to function more cleanly in a relationship. It's just how it works, right? And they're just like, oh man, but it's like coinciding with like multi-dating and being polyamorous and things like that, which has become it's like kind of a trend, and so people aren't so geared towards like, okay, I'm meeting this person, we're dating, courting, setting up for marriage, and we're like, marriage is this like goal. Like that's no longer part of like the general public as far as the goals go. And yeah, I understand that, like things change, okay? And so now they're just like, let's just date for the experience of dating. And if it's positive, I can learn from that and grow. If it becomes negative, I can learn from that and grow. Like, that's the general attitude. And I think it's somewhat healthy in that regard, to have this, because you can still want to get married and maintain this being not attached to outcome. Because when you're attached to outcome, then that leads to suffering. Attachment always leads to suffering. Okay, read your Buddhism. Attachment leads to suffering. Okay, those are the three ills, the three poisons, right, of Buddhism is attachment, desire, and ignorance. Like, these three things will cause you to suffer greatly: desire, hatred, and ignorance. So it's like, while you're desiring that thing, it's like, if you don't get it, then you're going to be crestfallen. Okay, if you do get it, you're going to be so afraid of losing it that you're going to be crestfallen, right? You're going to be filled with anxiety all the time, like always looking over your shoulder, especially today, when it's like, even your wife is going to have dudes up in her DMs trying to ass fuck her, right? Like, that's just life now. Okay, so I think with just this being just oversaturated by this, I think many people have just been like, okay, well, you know, I just have to let go. I have to let go with expectations of a certain outcome and be okay with that, right? And I think letting go is it's a very healthy mindset, right? And unfortunately, the red pill has taken a phrase and twisted it. You know, they say, what's that famous dumb term they say? She's not yours, it's just your turn. Okay, and like, that's stupid, because it's still just putting a woman in the place of leadership and pedestalizing her and praising her existence. And really should be flipped and say, well, like, I'm not hers, it's just her turn. And really, that alone is sufficient for early guys, but really the best mentality is just having stillness and releasing, right? Just letting things be, all right? And not trying to grasp and trying to control shit so much, okay? Control can only happen when someone says, I would like to give control to you, all right? And then you say, okay, well, I like to control in this way. How do you like to be controlled? Right? And then you can kind of figure that shit out. That's what I want to talk about. Okay, so how it gets kinky, right? With denial of things. This can turn into kink, because you can either train in denial kink, okay? Or denial fetish. Some people have a denial fetish. And this can go into all sorts of shit, okay? Like, if she's got a thing that she likes, okay? She likes, sweets. She likes alcohol. She likes orgasms, okay? You can deny these things, okay, and make her like earn them. So then that sets up because it sets up a power dynamic. I got to stop doing that. Like, I start one thought and then I shift over to kind of create that thought and loop it back around. So in denial, like I was saying, there's this love-hate with denial, okay? What that does inadvertently, it sets up a power split, right? It says, like, I'm here, you're here, okay? And it makes it very clear that there's a split, like, we are not on equal playing ground. And this is attractive. Like, it sucks for the woman, but at the same time, she's like, like, that's so hot, but I hate you for it, but I love you for it. It's wild, okay? So in sexual practices, and like many of you may practice this already, but having like orgasm control, like orgasm denial, okay, or orgasm earning, this sort of stuff is also really attractive, right? Of course, this has to be done with consent, so it has to be something you discuss and like, hey, is this something that turns you on? What do you think? And she might be like, actually, yeah, that is kind of hot, okay? Because I know some women who have been very, very horny women all the time, and like, they masturbate multiple times a day, every single day, okay? And they're addicted to it, right? They have to get off. So you come across someone who's like this, And now you can start like this, let's try this out. Let's put your masturbation and your orgasms, your pleasure, under my supervision and my control. And you try this out, and having that struggle of like, I can't just do what I want, I need to ask permission, which is like humbling, it's belittling, it almost feels a little embarrassing. But at the same time, it creates that space of power of like, I'm here and daddy's here, okay? And that can be very attractive, okay? It can be a very sexy sort of interplay of energy. And so that's just another place, another area where denial can be something that's very arousing, okay? And so if you're not okay with saying no, you're not going to be able to say no in the finer little places within your relationship, right? So it kind of like, it's all connected. You know, I say this a lot, how there's just one little thing is connected to lots of bigger things, and how this is connected to, well, who's the one denying? This is so it's like, it's not a matter of just doing it, okay? Because you could say no to your woman and still be scared of like, I wonder what she's gonna do, or she's gonna fucking hate me, like what's gonna happen, right? And you're like trying it out, but you still do it anyways, but you're still scared. Okay, so now it calls into question. It's like, okay, well, why are you scared? What are you so afraid of? Let's investigate that. Let's start digging deeper to find out who that is that's so scared, and the reason why behind it. And so all pathways, you know, I was talking to a guy earlier today, and he was talking to like a number of different coaches. He knows he needs coaching, okay? He checked out my stuff, a couple other dudes, and he's like, you know, I like you guys each for like different reasons, all right? And I said, hey, listen, you just go with whoever you resonate with most, all right? Because it doesn't matter, because I trust these other gentlemen. I know what they do. I know what they're about. I respect them. So I would never say no, okay? It's just, you go with what you feel is best. The reason being is that all pathways lead to the self. All pathways. If you're keen enough to understand this, practically everything you do brings you back to the self. I don't care if you're washing dishes. I don't care if you're playing guitar, or you're practicing martial arts, or you're dancing, or you're painting, or you're learning to sing, or you're studying mathematics, or you're creating a business. Everything has a pathway back to the self. You just have to have that mindset to actually see it working, all right? Women, it's just a pathway back to the self. That's all it is. That's why, you know, you hear this all the time. The game's not about women, it's about you. That's what it is. They're just like this, another vehicle. It's a very fun vehicle. It's a very interesting vehicle, a very enjoyable vehicle, okay? Sometimes a very annoying vehicle. But it nonetheless leads you back to the self. Always. All these things just lead you back to you. So I told him, I was like, listen, it doesn't matter which path you choose. You're going where you're going, right? And if you have this desire and this awareness, you don't have any choice about it. Because eventually you're just going to be pushed into one of these directions. So yeah, you know, fuck, I go down these pathways and I fucking lose track of where the hell I am. But that's just the way it goes, you know. This thing with denial, it's just another one of those pathways. And you can have fun with it. And especially it's like, all right, if about the self, if you're like having trouble with this, if you're having like, you can feel this resistance, okay? You feel resistance within yourself, fear, anxiety, or whatever. That's what I mean by being open, because if you feel these things, you shouldn't turn away and be like, oh man, I don't want to feel the fear. I don't want to feel the anxiety. Turn in, okay? Right? Like in like motorcycling, like to gain more traction, you actually lean into the corner, okay? That gives you more grip. So you need to lean in for more grip on these things. If you lean out from fear, you lean out from anxiety, you're going to lose control. All right? Lean in. It doesn't feel right. It's counterintuitive. All right? But lean into these situations. That's where you're going to discover yourself. This is where you're going to find out who you are by investigating why you're reacting the way you're reacting. And then once you sort out who it is, then you're not going to have any issue with saying no and disappointing her from time to time. And you're going to be okay with it. It's not going to bother you. You're not going to be scared. You're not going to be anything, right? You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be sad. You're just going to be very indifferent. And actually, like, her recognizing your indifference shows that you're able to remain calm in these small instances of disruption. And like I said, it's really attractive. Super, super attractive. So Vic Daddy looks like he's got a question here. Opinion on rewarding and repercussions. I think they're really important. You know, I think they're necessary. I mean, because we operate in life constantly with rewards and repercussions. It's part of advancement, part of growth. It's just really weird because when in every other aspect of life that has something to do with achievement, there's always rewards and repercussions. Always. Every part of life that has something to do with the achievement has the system. And they even usually have a method by which you can achieve, right? They're like, okay, follow this. They provide the steps. But for some reason, if you put this into a relationship, people are like, oh, that's taboo. You're being controlling. This is not how things should be. Democratic, and you should just kind of feel things out. I don't know if you guys have ever been like part of a team, okay? I think I might have told this story before, but like many years ago, you guys know I'm a visual artist, and I spent some time as a concept artist for a video game company here in New York City. And it was for a skateboarding game, and I was in charge of doing the concepts for the environment. It was a really cool skating game because it was a combination of Tokyo, Los Angeles, and New York. And I had to create this like fantasy city. And if you could imagine, the mayor was a skateboarder. So like everything was skatable. It was a really cool game. So I was doing the environments on that. And occasionally I had to get together and have these team meetings. And like everybody, because of just the corporate culture of this company, everybody had a say, right? It wasn't all just top down, okay? Everybody had a say with what's going on. So we got to put in have our input. The problem was that the art director was very weak, okay? He didn't have like a very strong voice and was able to be like, take pieces and stuff and go, I like that, that's stupid, that sucks, we'll save that for later. Okay, we're going with this, move, all right? Meeting adjourned, let's get to work. He was not like that at all, okay? He like hung back. And when you have a committee, when it comes to making decisions, shit takes forever. Because you're always going to butt heads. You're always going to have this person think that their idea is better than this person's idea. Always. And when you have 3, 4, 5, 8, 12 people, all with that same idea or like that same attitude, it causes for a lot of friction. And it's sort of like a vehicle. If you can imagine a vehicle with tires in a circle, and you hit the gas and they all start pulling in this, like pulling outward, right? The vehicle is just going to stay still, okay? It doesn't go anywhere when you don't have everything going in the same direction, okay? So same with relationships, okay? When people are saying, oh, we've got this partner and we've got this very democratic, like, holistic relationship, there's always going to be someone who makes the last decision, all right? Always. And usually in these democratic situations, it's the woman, okay? Let's just face it, right? Because if it wasn't, it would just be the man, and we'd just say, hey, the man's in charge, all right? The thing is, like, when you have this committee sort of idea where you're bouncing around ideas and you're working back and forth to come to common ground, it's like there's so many small, medium, and large decisions to make in a relationship that if you have this back and forth with everything where everybody's putting in a vote, things will take forever to progress. Okay, that's why when you go to a job, typically your say doesn't really have any bearing on how the company is going to function. If you're in college and they say you have, Psych 101, Psych 102, Psych 103, there's no negotiating about those prerequisites. You either take them and you get your credits and move on, or you don't. But you can't move on unless you take those prerequisites. That's how it is. Okay? Now you have some flexibility within those programs to express yourself and write papers and have your own ideas and experiments, whatever, but you can't deviate from that structure. And it's like, if we put these things, if we have elements of this organization within our relationships, it's like, well, if it works in so many other areas of life, why couldn't it work in a relationship? All you need is just to have a structure, and then someone who's agreeing to be within that structure. And the person who has the structure has to have a willingness to uphold that structure and monitor it, right? And make sure everything's going smoothly and growing and moving in a prosperous fashion, right? But it's like, no, we can't have that. That's psychotic, right? That's crazy. No, what's crazy is going in blind without a plan. And the only plan you have is like, well, maybe a few years we'll have like a house, we'll get married, maybe some kids. It's like, dude, that's not a plan, right? Those are visions. Those aren't even goals, because in order to have goals, you have to have certain executable processes to get to those goals. Okay, so those are just visions, right? Those are like stickers you have up on your vision board, like magazine clippings, right? And people call that goals. Those aren't goals. Goals have a process. All right, that's how you can only call a goal. Otherwise, you just have a dream. Kason, yes, me and my motorcycles. I fucking love motorcycles, man. It's like, and yeah, they're just very freeing. They're exhilarating. Got a question here. Is dominance just an expression of yourself and she gets off on that? I guess so, and it's something that I, fluctuate in. Like, it's not like a switch, okay, where there's just like an on and off, right? Or an on and no off, okay? It's like the on has varying degrees in it, okay? Because I'm a biological thing as well. I'm not a machine. So, I have my days where things are more dominant, or more organized, and days that are less dominant, less organized. But it's all like within that general framework, I don't think it's ever off, okay, unless I'm sleeping. But it's become such part of my baseline thinking that I don't think it's ever off. But yeah, it's an expression of myself, I guess. And that's the thing. It's like, it takes different guys. I've spoken to many doms, and they all vary, like, depending on just how they want to live their life, how they express themselves. You could have 12 different saxophone players, and they're all going to play differently. And but they're all respected as a saxophone player. And that's just what it is. The girl you're with, gets off on who you are in that state of being dominant. No, it's not a state. Yeah, it's not a state, because that implies that it's something separate from you. Okay? This is something of me, right? And it doesn't even have to take on any forms. Like, of course, like the forms are fun, right? The forms are exciting, okay? Where she wants to get spanked, okay? She wants to feel your force, okay? She wants to hear it in your voice. She wants to see it in your demeanor, okay? But really, it can be in a look. It can be in a slight shift of the tone of your voice, okay? It can be in a gesture. It can be in your body language, Okay, it doesn't always have to be this, this action. It's just those actions tend to be more fun and excitable for the woman. You know, in my opinion of truly expressing dom, or what's my opinion of truly expressing dom sub persona? Just whatever comes naturally to you. That's the whole point. That's what I work with guys on. Whether they're wanting to get into BDSM or not, it's about living your life truly. Because most people go through life asleep to who they are. So that it just leads to like a very unfulfilling life. Even if they've got a lot of worldly achievements, and then they're lying there on their deathbed and they're like, well, I don't even know who I am. All I am are the things that I've done, right? And I'd hate to be on my deathbed thinking that. I want to live life feeling that I'm in my own skin and very, very comfortable with that. That's what I want to do. All right. So it's like, like a lot of people come into this and they think that this is like a costume that they can put on. And, largely it's because they have this idea that they can do something to be like impressive to women and all this stuff. And it's not about that. Like, it never was. It never will be. It's just about understanding who you are. Okay. And, truth be told, sometimes guys are submissives, and that's okay. Like, if that's who your true being is, why would I want to deny you of that? Like, I'm not the identity police. Okay. I can tell you what I prefer. I can tell you what my woman prefers. Okay. But that has no bearing on you, right? It doesn't matter. It's like, what's important is that you are living genuine. That's the point. That's all that matters. It's because if we're not living genuinely, it's like, well, what are you doing? You're wasting so much time. You're wasting so much energy. You're dead tomorrow. Dead. No more chances. I don't give a fuck what your religion says. No one has come back and said, woo, this is round 2, let's go. Or like round 1 leads to round 2. Okay? Like, this is it. For all we know. Alright? So take that seriously. Take it seriously. This is all we know. This is all we got. We got one good shot here. Okay? And to live truthfully is to live free. Okay? Because most guys, they live within a prison of their own making in their own heads. And this is really what entraps most guys. This is what keeps them feeling unfulfilled, feeling trapped, feeling full of suffering. And they think that it's this outside thing. Like, if they get this outside thing, then they will feel more free. But it might give them pleasure, which relieves some of the anxiety. But the anxiety, the root of the anxiety, has to do with feeling like a prisoner in their own mind. They're a prisoner of their own thoughts. And that is really where all this, the pain comes from. That's where the anxiety comes from. This is where their suffering originates. And because they're ill-equipped to see what that is, then it's natural to look outside and find a source. So they start pointing at this, start pointing at that, start finding all these reasons for your suffering. But it all comes back to you. If you start on a pathway to self-discovery, you'll find out eventually that you've been doing it to yourself all along. And it's embarrassing when you first realize that. It really is. And you take a nice punch in the gut from yourself, and you feel like a fucking moron. But that's life. That's life. You got to be able to take these hits to the gut. Unfortunately, that's just how you grow. Like, you're not going to grow through research. And that's what I was telling this guy that I was talking to today. This one dude. We were actually talking about the prison of the mind. And you can study all you want, But eventually you get to a point where you have to make a decision of what you're going to do. And this is the guy who is, trying to figure out like what would be the best pathway for coaching. And I didn't want to pressure him, but I needed him to understand that he can prepare and study and research until the cows come home. But at the end of the day, he must make a decision to take action. And that's going to be the first step that he's actually taken in a very long time. The first real step. Because that's his first step towards himself. Because all those other steps have been for his family, for his religion, for his society, his culture, his community, all that stuff that he had absorbed and never really made a choice in absorbing. It was given to him, right? Without his permission, consent, or analysis. He just absorbed it and said, okay, yep, this is true. This is how it should be. And for the first, he's been kind of unraveling this going on through life and then coming to a precipice of saying, okay, I don't want this anymore. I want to go over here. But in order to go over here, you must take a step over to cross the road. It takes one step, but and that curb is only like 6 inches tall, but man, I understand it feels like this huge step off. It does, because you're abandoning what seems to be part of your identity. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're abandoning yourself. And it's masked with, oh, my mom's going to be upset. My pastor is going to be upset. What would my dad say? What would so-and-so say? What would my brother think? Or whatever, okay? But really, it's fear from leaving an identity, okay? Because your identity has been formulated by the perceptions and beliefs and the bits of information and feedback that you've been getting from other people, your environment, your community, your peers, all that stuff for years and years and years, giving you these little tiny bits of feedback that you've been piecing together over time, and then it grows into this identity. You're like, look at me. And now I'm asking you to set that down and walk over here where there is nothing. And I'm telling you, there actually is something. It's the only real thing that there is on the other side of that street. It's the only real thing there is. And you're like, but wait a second, this is me. This is how I've known myself to be since forever. And you're telling me to abandon this. Yes. Maybe not all of it. Okay, some of it might be worthwhile. But in order to examine that, you have to set it down and separate yourself so you can step back and look at it. Much like a painter, when they're painting, they're looking at details and they step back and they're like, what's going on here? And they look at the whole thing to see what they really need to move or adjust or erase or paint over or whatever, or what's working. So you need perspective. You need to separate and create distance from your identity that you thought was yours, but it is not at all. So yeah, this shit has layers. So like, man, I just want to learn how to spank chicks, man. What are you talking about? Can we just talk about deep throat training? Yeah, we can talk about deep throat training. It's in my course. It is all fun, and it actually is. It's like it sounds serious, and it is serious, okay? But you can bring an element of wonder to this, right? Because once you become accustomed with letting go, okay, and you release the attachments you have to anxiety and fear, because those are natural defense mechanisms, right, to keep you safe, to keep your ego safe, okay? And that's worked for a long time, okay? Like, we're here, okay? You survived. It's hard to let those things these tools that have worked for so long, it's difficult to let them go, okay? But if you can embrace this discomfort, and it can become an enjoyable process, okay? Because it's like I said, it gets replaced with wonder, What's going to happen next? What will I see next? Let me see more. All right. And so you start looking for it, right? This is actually what allows you to dive into your relationships. It allows you to really sink your teeth into situations, because that's when you're really going to discover a lot about yourself. Okay. Now with this like NATO shit, I think they're taking it a little far, because that keeps you distanced, right? It doesn't allow you to like really get immersed, you know. But it's this thing, like the paradox with the liking being denied that women have. There's a similar thing where you can enjoying the process of being immersed, and the difficulties that are within that. It's just this weird like oil water thing that's like constantly happening, you know. But it's about like finding that middle way, because at the middle, you know, it's like a stick of incense. It's not out, it's not snuffed out, but it's not on fire either. It smolders in the middle. That's the ideal position to be in. It's ideal to be in this position of a smoldering being, where you're not on fire and you're not extinguished. Okay? And this is what allows you to move. This is what allows you to be flexible. It's what allows you to learn. Okay? Because you're not committed towards like any sort of extreme. Okay? And this is what allows you to remain present, but also slightly detached. You can be with the woman, but not be with the woman. You can love her, but not love her. Right? You can fuck her, but you're not fucking her. It's all of these things happening simultaneously that really allows you to actually be there. Right? Because a lot of times when you have these attachments, you're not actually there. Like you think you're there because you're so emotionally involved, okay? But really those emotions are tied something deeper into your past that's being activated. So you're actually living in a past when you're deeply entrenched emotionally into your situations, into your relationships, a lot of times, because you haven't severed those ties with the neediness that was developed way back in your childhood. So you're actually operating in the present from the past. You're not actually present. So it's like, this is the shit that has to be examined. You know? Then you can get to the ass fucking. Then you can get to the deep throat training. Then you can get to walking around on a leash and, you know, making her wear vinyl and, you know, spanking sessions and, you know, rule creation and, you know, cock worship and, you know, foot worship and whatever else you want to put in there, you know. You can have a lot of fun, okay? And, you know, frankly, guys can still have a lot of fun with all those attachments, but the difference is that it's not going to be genuine. It's not going to be clear. It's not going to be free from contamination. Imagine being able to operate your thinking, your words, your actions without contamination. It's pure. Now, if you could just for a moment, imagine what that's got to be like from a woman's perspective, where she's getting a genuine experience of a person who has challenged all of those attachments to where he is most present. That's got to be a completely different experience than dealing with guys who are still like with that umbilical cord attached to mommy and all that entails, right? It's a very, very different experience for her. I can only imagine. Okay, I've never been a woman, okay, but I've spoken with enough women to understand what they go through, and it's very different. Okay. All right, so we've been rapping here for about an hour. I'm gonna wrap this up. I appreciate everyone who has come through. K-Song, Vic Daddy, Vasily's Combat Sports and World Events, Kuroy 2SS, Kevinism 7, Transcendent Music, King Solar Power, Boxing Dave. Anybody else I'm missing here? All right, I think that's everybody who's in the chat anyways. So I appreciate you guys coming through. It's been a pleasure. I hope you're enjoying your Friday evening. I've got some mess to clean up, some moving soon. And, I hope it was informational for you. And I appreciate you guys who are coming here on the replay to check that out. And if you want to see what I'm up to, go to thedominancecademy.com. I've got video memberships, I've got coaching memberships, and all is explained over there. Working on some rebranding, so it's a little less BDSM-y and a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more palatable. So, so far that's been working out very well for me. So that was a good move. All right, so I will see you on the next time. And tomorrow, I think if Kazagan is streaming, I'll be on there with Miles and Jay Roman, and Kazagan will be chopping things up around 1:30 Eastern. So we'll see you then if that's going on. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.